Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. We're back on GT Sport and we're back with the FIA Nations Round number 4, driving the McLaren P1 GTR at the Nürburgring GP. You can see there we're starting from about P7 on the grid there and got a very good start at the start. Going into turn 1, we ended up being into P4. There was chaos at the start. Looks like there was contact between P1 and 2 between Twizzy and Ruffle Waffle, and that puts me into P2, but I had to give that back to Devil there as he had the inside line, so I just tucked in behind Devil and now into P3. So a great start. However, P4 getting very aggressive from the start and actually squeezing me a little bit there, but I decided to hold that inside line and carry on now. Got a little bit of oversteer on the exit of the final corner there. We're going to run this whole race from the onboard cockpit view. Obviously, I ran the race from the bumper camera. If you want to watch the live stream, you can check that live stream out on the channel. For this video, though, we're going to keep it on board with the cockpit view just to add a bit of difference to the videos. As you can see there now, going into the tight hairpin. We are actually in an okay position at the moment into P3, although going into the hairpin, we've been hit from behind by P4. Quite frustrating, to be honest. This got hit there, lost us quite a big amount of time. You can see the gap that developed between myself and P2, and it kind of got me a little bit aggravated. I needed to settle down again and try and concentrate a bit more on the driving and see if we could maybe close in on Devil, although I didn't really expect to have the speed at this combination to match the likes of Devil at this track. It's not really my strong point. It's something I'm still trying to learn, and I was quite happy with the qualifying, how it went. It could have been better. Did expect to maybe get into the 48s, but we managed the 49.0, which wasn't too bad. Going into the hairpin, and P4 actually has another look on the inside there, but I decided to brake late, close the door, and got on the power really nicely now going out of the chicane and then into the final corner. And again, P4 just chucks it up the inside and hits the rear of my car, hits right on the rear side, losing us a bit more time again. A little bit aggressive by P4. It was very frustrating this first lap or so, as we're going now into the braking zone for heavy braking zone and downshifting, and again P4 has hit us from behind and again just kept hitting me, and this was getting a little bit frustrating. I was getting very aggravated on stream because I don't mind once, or but 3 or 4 times in one lap is a little bit too much. And going into the left hand corner, and again he hits us there, pushes us wide, and it was a little bit frustrating. It was as if he didn't really want to take the time to get past properly. It was a bit frustrating, but he made the move in the end by doing that. And I had to give the position back up then to Matty there, as I had no momentum coming out the corner and was driving really frustrated at this point. So I actually lost 2 positions there and down to P5. So still gaining on my qualifying position because we qualified down in P7. So not the end of the world. And now I just need to try and I needed to calm down a bit really, and try and get the rhythm going, because that really did upset the rhythm of the race for me at the start. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is get a really solid outlap from the standing start and really get on the back of the slipstream of the cars in front of you. However, it really wasn't possible with the aggressive driving of Marcus Jr. there. He did actually apologise in the stream chat, and also at the end of the race through a message to apologise and said that he really is sorry for the way he's driving, which is fair enough. That's all that's needed, an apology, and we'll move on from it, and we ignore that now. And but it was like I say, it was a little bit too much. About 4 or 5 contacts within one lap. But GTA Matty there now. Now I'm trying to just get some sort of rhythm going, and obviously during this race I was still a bit wound up at this stage, so the driving wasn't really as smooth as it could be, and you can see I'm starting to drop back a bit from P4 GTA Matty there in front of us. I've raced him quite a few times, very fast driver, and now you can see the leaders away. They've got quite a big lead already as we go into the braking zone. Nearly missed the braking zone. It's the way I took that corner, it looked a bit different to the way Matty took it there, but luckily no contact made, and we're carrying on there. It was a very scary moment. I think on stream I was literally clenched up during that moment. Really, I thought I might have wiped him out into the braking zone, but we managed to avoid him. We had to run a little bit wide to make sure that we did avoid him, but I'd rather run wide than take him out. So going into the braking now, you can see we're not losing too much time. We're just losing a little bit of time every now and then at the moment. I think the driving was just a little bit scruffy, but you can see P1 and 2 are well gone in the distance. They're already about 5, maybe about 5-6 seconds up the road already. So big advantage already from the start, pretty much basically because of the aggressive driving that happened on lap 1. It cost us all really. I think without that aggressive driving I could have stayed a lot closer to Devil, and maybe held in the slipstream for a little bit longer. I don't think I had the speed to actually stay with him properly, but in the slipstream I might have been able to hang in there a little bit. As you can see, we're staying at the moment reasonably close to GTA Matty. It's just about picking up the back end of the slipstream and just trying to keep it nice and smooth. Behind us we've got a bit of a gap there. You can see we've just got rid of the slipstream to P6, so at the moment P5 is looking okay. And to be fair, in this race I would have been very happy with P5 because like I say, it's not the strongest type of combination for myself. This was my first attempt at the race. I only did this race once. I decided just to do it once and then leave it, but we will continue to try and practice these type of combinations more, race more of these road cars, as they are actually quite enjoyable. This P1, when I first tested it out on live stream, when we tested the content out, I was sure that there was something wrong with the car, but a lot of it is to do with the braking and the downshifting. As Matty goes very wide into turn 1, that gives me a chance to pick up that slipstream a little bit stronger there. He braked a little bit too late, but like I said, it's very hard to get the braking right with this car, but once you do get the hang of it and how to drive it, is actually a very rewarding car to drive, and I actually quite liked it in the end. One thing I found out with this car was you had to make sure that you were on the brakes before you downshifted. If you tried to downshift very quickly whilst just getting on the brakes at the same time, the DRS didn't seem to disengage properly, so the car kind of coasted and didn't really have the deceleration that it needed to do. So you need to make sure your foot was on the brake into the braking zones, and then slowly downshift. Let the revs do it slowly. Don't just be really fast like if you were in a race car. You've got to just take your time with downshifting with this car, and that really does help you out in terms of the stability on the braking and reducing your speed from the really high speeds that this car is carrying. Because you can see on board there in the top speed monitor on the car, they can see 188 miles per hour we've reached already in this race, and this is a road, well, kind of a road car, a track day car, but extremely high speeds, and it shows you just how you've got to take that into account, because I think you kind of think you're braking distance like the GT3 cars, but you're carrying that much more speed with this car because of the power. You do have to brake that a little bit shorter, but you can see in the bottom right hand corner on the replay camera, we're staying with GTA Matty at this point. We're about to go in the pits. We're just probably still in the slipstream at this stage, about 9 tenths behind. We've built the gap up to P6, so we've got quite a solid position at the moment as we go into the pit lane and change our tyres. And obviously we don't need to put any fuel in for this race because we all had enough fuel. You can see we've still got 77 litres to go, 77 litres left and 5 laps to go. So it's just a case of putting the fuel in and then back out on track and seeing if we can stay with Matty and maybe make him move somewhere. However, you'll see straight away that GTA Matty seem to have gained quite a bit of time in the pit lane. Maybe not massive amount, but maybe about half a second to 7 tenths. Maybe you can see it now. You can see it on stream as well. We went in the pits about 9 tenths behind, and at this stage we were approaching 1.5, 1.6 seconds behind. So it's the random pit stop. It does happen sometimes. Some people get a slightly faster pit stop than others. It's something I wish they would kind of remove, because unless there is something you've got to do to initiate it, maybe pressing the theory I have behind it is maybe if you're really quick at pressing the change tyre buttons as soon as it appears, the quicker you are, the quicker it will change the tyres. Maybe that could be it. It's something that I was thinking after this race. It could be something to do with that. The quicker you get rid of all that information at the start, like the no refueling and changing tyres, it might make your pit stop a little bit faster. But you can see in front of me now, there is a definite advantage that has been gained through that pit stop. It was about half a second to maybe a second, and we're about 2 seconds behind now at this stage. So I had to kind of start regrouping a bit, because I was a little bit baffled coming out of the pits how I'd managed to lose that much time, because we went in the pits in the slipstream and we come out about 2 seconds behind. So we're going to have to push fairly hard now. You can see up ahead that Marcus Jr. is still only a little bit up the road, and this is what was a little bit frustrating for me for the early part of the lap, because on the start of the race where Marcus was behind us, he did have slightly better speed than us, but it wasn't enough to warrant pushing us out the way. I think he would have maybe been able to do it with an overtake, but maybe he understood that this track is very hard to overtake on, but that's racing, and I don't know if we would have been able to hold him off. It would have been a good battle, but it wasn't to be. It ended up being quite a scruffy lap 1 and start of lap 2. But you can see there now the other drivers are in the pits there. I think some drivers decided to pit the end of lap 5. Not too sure. Yeah, it looks like a few drivers did that were behind us, so they weren't really in the race with us anyway. All the lead drivers pitted at the end of lap 4. It makes more sense to get the undercut and increase your overall pace on lap 5, so you end up increasing the lead even more than what you already had. You can see RM behind us, and been driving very well recently. He's around 2 seconds behind, and we're managing to just about keep that gap to RM just over 2 seconds. You can see it on the replay camera. It's pretty much equal gap between myself, Matty, and then myself and RM behind me. So at the moment, it's just all about, can I close that gap in on GTA Matty. You can see we're starting to gain a little bit. I started to get a little bit of a rhythm going now on this last stint. Started to concentrate a bit more. Obviously, kind of got over the lap 1 with the aggressive drive, and was now just trying to concentrate on putting the laps together, and was actually starting to get used to the car a bit, because obviously this was my first race. I didn't do any warm-up races. I don't know whether any of the drivers in front of me had already done races before this. I think this was a 7 PM race, so there was a chance that some of them might have done the I think it was actually the 6 PM race, sorry, not the 7 PM, so there was a chance some of these drivers might have done the 5 PM race already. So I was just doing this race. Maybe some of these drivers had done the 5 PM race and a little bit more warmed up, but we're starting to hook the lap up a little bit better now, putting in personal best sectors and gradually getting closer to GTA Matty. It wasn't a massive amount. Obviously GTA Matty is driving very well in front. He looks like he's actually gaining a bit on Marcus as well, so it looks like we are closing a little bit of time back on Marcus. So it shows that the pace was there, because you can see Marcus just up ahead there. It doesn't seem to be pulling away anymore. It seems to be fairly static, the gap, and we're slowly gaining back in onto GTA Matty. There we managed to get our lap down into the 49s. Not a particularly amazing lap. We really should have been in low 49s at this stage, but like I say, this was my first race. It was just about trying to get the consistency back and getting a rhythm back in this race after that scruffy start to the race. And now you can see going into these tight corners, a real tricky technical section. This is where you can visually see the gap decreasing, because it's a little bit closer. Once we get on the accelerator and obviously the car hits top speed, the gap looks bigger, but the braking zones was how you judge it. And I could see on the Delta we were starting to gain ever so slightly onto GTA Matty. It was maybe a couple attempts a lap. You can see through this corner now, it's definitely under 2 seconds there. It's about 1.7 seconds, 1.9 seconds, and we're just slowly reeling them in, but we've only got a few laps to go. So I was really trying to concentrate, keep it smooth, not outbrake myself too much, hook up the apex of the corners, get on the power nice and early. One thing with this car is you had to be very cautious getting on the power. You'll see it in the throttle inputs. I wasn't just stamping it on the power all the time. It was very gradual, maybe like 50%, then to 100%, or 50 to 70 to 100, etc. Just to try and ease the power in on this very powerful car. Obviously this car has, I think it's nearly 1,000 horsepower, just under or around 1,000 horsepower. So putting that all down when you're in the early gears. And one thing you'll see is I try to avoid second gear as much as possible. I think we had to go in second gear for turn 1, but we're straight up into third gear. And even through this chicane, I think even if we go down into third gear there, I don't think we even go into second gear. Yeah, we kept out of second gear even for that chicane, because it was just too much power going through the obviously the car at that low gear. It just spun the rears up. So again, you can see it over the line. It's still around 1.6, 1.8 seconds, that gap to P4. And we're just trying to keep it on it as much as we could at this point. I was really concentrating when we were live on stream at this point. And Matty makes a little bit of an error there, going very wide into the corner, as I make a very good entry into that corner and actually hook it up nicely, enabling myself to get on the power really nicely to push it wide and then through the whole sector. It kind of helps you once you take turn 1 really well. You're able to then really hook up all the other corners, because you've managed to get the right line for the next corner, etc. It's all about thinking a corner ahead on that first sector. And you can see now we have definitely started to gain that gap on GTA Matty. It's not a massive amount. It was literally 2 tenths, 1/10 a lap, 2 tenths a lap, but it was gradually getting there as we make a little mistake getting on the power there. Trying to get on the power a little bit too eager, as I was starting to feel there was a possibility I could pick up the slipstream. So I was trying to drive that little bit more aggressive, and I think on the stream I was saying there's a chance I could pick up the slipstream here. We are definitely gaining, and we're gaining speed, and we were actually gaining on Marcus as well. You can see Marcus now just up the road, so it does show you. This is why I was really frustrated again by the lap 1, was because this would have been a really good battle between us three here, and we wouldn't have finished that far behind P1 and 2. I don't think we would have been right behind them, but I think we would have been reasonably close. As we're now coming into the chicane, on the penultimate lap, so just one more lap to go after we go. It says Marcus there just going through the chicane there now, and that really does show you that we've actually gained, I think we definitely gained on the second stint to P3, so the pace was there. It's just a bit unfortunate that the way the race went, obviously at the start, I got a little bit aggravated by the drive, and it's something I do need to obviously try and do, is calm down a little bit more when things don't go particularly great at the start. But I think I recovered the race so far okay. You know, we've got a gap to P6, it's around 2.5 seconds, something like that, and we're gaining back on Matty, who drove very well, kept it nice and clean, and now I think he might have been slightly backing off maybe on this last lap. I'm not too sure, maybe he was on it, I don't know, but we were both, I think we were both definitely pushing, because I could feel there was a chance of getting in the slipstream, and if there was one mistake made by GTA Matty, then there was a possibility that I could get past him. We were very equally matched, I think, during this race. We pretty much identical pace on every lap, so it was just that weird pit stop where we seem to lose about a second, maybe a second, around about a second probably in the pits, and it's something I may have to try and do a video to test this out, whether there is something that you can do to increase your pit stop time, because I think it was on Cataluna when Tidgley managed to gain about 1.5 seconds over a lot of cars in front of him and jumped quite a few cars. And maybe it is something to do with how fast you are clicking the button to get your pit stop done, you know, the tyre and the fuel. It might not make any difference, but it's something we can try and test out maybe in a public lobby and get some people in there and all go in the pits together, and we'll try different things, maybe like doing it a little bit slower, some people, and just seeing if it does make a difference to the pit stop. It'll be interesting to work out. But you can see on this lap, we actually really hooked this final lap up, considering the tyre wear was there. Obviously, this was the 5th lap on the tyres, and you can see we're so close to picking up the slipstream. We're about 1.1 second behind at this point of the race, going into the chicane for the final time. On the brakes, perfectly there, hitting the corner nicely, bouncing over the curbs, and you see Matty there had a little moment getting on the pound. We're actually in the slipstream now as we go over the line. Pretty much, you can see pretty much picking up the slipstream now, around about 8 tenths behind him. And it's such a shame there wasn't a couple more laps left in this race, because it would have been a really good battle all the way to the finish. But unfortunately, that was the end of the race, and we come home in P5. But a solid result. I picked up over 2,000 points in that race, and I decided to call it a night at that race, because I felt like that race was a little bit tricky, and we moved on to Bathurst after that, which we will upload. We're going to upload the best race, the most exciting race out of the Bathurst ones. There were some unfortunate things that happened at Bathurst in terms of penalties when drivers missed a break and hit us in the rear, but we did have one really entertaining race. So even though it wasn't a particularly great result, I really enjoyed the race. It was some really good battling, so we will upload that one. Hopefully either tomorrow or the day after. I think I'm going to try and do the iRacing video tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed that video. It was a good fun race. I really enjoyed that car. It really does surprise me. I think once you get used to certain cars on GT Sport, you start learning the characteristics, and they become really enjoyable to drive, and it's just learning different, like, the quirks of the car, etc. But hopefully that will come up again in another race, the GTR, because it was really good fun, and we can do it again at another track. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. Click the notification button so you don't miss any future videos, and make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Thanks again for watching, everyone.